It's Monday. You know what that means. Time for another episode of the Flex On Podcast. The only place giving you sports how you want it when you need it. Episode 453. We take things up a notch again as we head towards the start of the NFL regular season and the flock. One preseason game in the books. We'll talk about it. A very special, very illustrious guest joining us here this evening. We recap the Olympics and we start our division previews as the NFL season is less than a month away. Can the Chiefs three-peat? We take a look at the AFC West and Super Bowl runner-up, the NFC champion, NFC West 49ers. Can they repeat as division champion, or will there be a new winner in the NFC West as well? We get goofy with Cavante, and as always, make sure you guys, if you haven't already, super kick that subscribe button, sack it, stick that like button, backdrop that bell. Episode 453. Let's get to it right here on the Flex On Podcast. Only place giving you sports how you want it when you need it. There you go. Shouldn't hear no more music, Cavante. But we're working with a little technical difficulties, but we're going to get it right. Episode 453. You already know what it is. Flex On Podcast. Very illustrious guest. We don't want to take up too much time. We want to get right into it. You see it in the name. You see it in the title. He's joining us. He's staying up late with us. We're going to recap the Ravens Week 1 preseason game. Talk about around the NFL, the preseason. Look at what a rookie quarterback did down in Washington that has one of our panelists excited up in the Meadowlands. We get goofy. Of course, we also talk about the Olympics and preview the AFC and NFC West as we begin our division previews. Who do we think wins the division, and how do we see this playing out? Can the Chiefs three-peat? And so much more. Make sure you follow us Twitter, Instagram, The Flex Zone 1, Facebook, The Flex Zone 1, The Flex Zone Podcast on TikTok, and The Flex Zone 1 at gmail.com. And make sure you guys, if you haven't already, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, hit the bell, vote on the poll, let us know your winners for the AFC and NFC West, and of course, your comments, what you want to hear from us tonight as we talk Ravens with one illustrious guest that we're going to get to in 1 second. But batting lead off, it is friendly neighborhood Big Raj. What's going on, the social media producer? How you feeling today, my guy?
No bread, no
Can't hear you.
water, just
And he's not friendly at all.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
See, look at the aggression on him.
Look at him yelling at us. Look at him.
Stop it. Hey, we have an illustrious guest, okay? He's a very illustrious guest. So I'm going to be on my best behavior tonight. At least try to be. But anyway, I had a great weekend. It was cool. You know, I've seen a lot of things this weekend, but I've never seen a stripper pole at the lake. But yet, I've seen it. I've seen it all. Seen it all.
Wait a minute, there's a stripper pole at Lake Montebello.
I can't do
Yes.
none of the sound effects.
Look at
today,
Drake
so
got
I
to go.
don't-
Look at
I
Drake.
can't do no sound
got
effects
to
today,
move,
so
man.
I
Yes,
don't.
there was late last night. I seen a stripper pole. I don't know if the ladies were strippers or not.
Finish him, Daddy.
Well, there you go. I don't know if the ladies were strippers or
I
not.
can't even hear it, but I guess it's playing. So there you go.
Yes, it played clearly. But it was a sight to see. Let's just say that it was a sight to see.
This next man is the voice of reason. He is the captain of the goofy ship. He is the Commandalorian. Cravante. Almost that time. I
Yeah.
guess they can hear the music. We'll try.
those haters can't stand us. Left hand
I guess Drake can't hear it either. Okay. Well,
Good. I'm glad. Good, Drake. I'm glad you don't hear it.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
No, but he
Cavante.
said it's not. He said it's not the same without me doing the Waka Flocka.
it just
Right, you're right, man. Boo, boo, boo. You understand? Boo. I'm over it, but I am excited that football's back. We'll talk about the preseason games and all that good stuff, but we're not gonna go too long on these intros because we gotta get our guy up here. Gotta get our guy up here. So Dre, don't take all day.
Here you go. I take as much time as I want.
Last but not least, the man is back.
Do his job.
He's gone. He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. Mr. 25-8, the Pride East Side, the Savior Misbehavior, the A-lister, the man who gets the job done. Still celebrating his birthday. Cancer season still in full effect for him. Drizzy Dre, what's up, my brother? How you feeling first and foremost?
Hey, man. I'm glad to be with you guys. Clearly, I'm at home. Usually you would see me at work, and that's because I told our good brother Cravante over the weekend I actually caught COVID. So, yeah, your boy is down and out right now.
Being out in them streets.
I'll be cleared by the weekend, though. Gotta run it back, one. Run it back.
No, you stay your ass in the house. How about that? You need to be in the house.
That's what Karate said when he called me. He was like, for once, stay your ass in the house.
That's what I did. Verbatim. You can quote me on that.
Well, enough about us. Tonight we have a very illustrious guest, a gentleman who's joining us for the very first time. You may know him from the USA Today Ravens Wire and the very popular and ever so friendly Locked On Ravens podcast. Good friends of the program. The one, the only Kevin Oestreicher. You hear him also on 105.7 The Fan throughout the week. He's going to talk about the Ravens with us and so much more. Everyone, put your hands together for the one, the only, waiting so patiently backstage, Kevin Oestreicher. He's back here. He's on the flex zone. Kevin, what's going on, my good brother?
What's going on, guys? If I have to say, that intro music was
Well, thank you.
Up, ready to talk, man. I'm excited to be here.
Well, Kevin, let's get into it. I mean, we know who you are, but for those who may be seeing you for the first time and seeing you here on the podcast, who are you? How can I keep up with you, and what do you contribute? Because I don't think you ever sleep.
I do not. You were talking about how it's late. This is actually about dinner time for me. My schedule used to be really bad. Used to be I slept anywhere from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. We are past that now, though. It is now in the 4 a.m. to 12 p.m., 11 a.m. range, because I do make my own hours doing this. I host and produce Locked On Ravens 5 days a week. I write for USA Today, the Ravens Wire over there. I also, as you mentioned, I go on 105.7 at least once a week. I also do work for Bleacher Report. I work for the Ryan Ripken Show doing Orioles, Ravens content. So very involved in the Baltimore sports community. It's a grind, but I love doing it.
Hey, love it.
Go ahead, Dre. You can go ahead and get right into it. I know you got a lot of questions for him.
All right. Let's get right into it. Like you said, a Baltimore Ravens question. Right now, you have Hassan Reddick out there, and we've talked about the Ravens needing a pass rusher, but there's also Brandon Ayuk, and we said that Ravens could probably need another person on the wide receiver end. Who do you think the Ravens should try to trade for?
Out of those two, I would probably pick Reddick right now. I know that there's a lot of just uncertainty with him right now. We don't really know what the heck's going on over there in New York, but in terms of actual need, it feels very weird to say the Ravens don't necessarily need a wide receiver. They could certainly use one. Brandon Ayuk would automatically become the top receiver in that offense. But their pass rush, there's a lot of uncertainty because they lost Jadeveon Clowney. He's now down in Carolina with the Panthers. And they brought back Kyle Van Noy. That was a win for them. But other than that, they're going to be relying on a bunch of young players. Can Odafe Owe take a next step? Can David Ajabo be healthy? They have a couple of other mid-round picks they're relying on. Reddick would instantly become the star of that pass rusher group. And assuming that they're able to agree on a contract and get that all worked out, whatever he would want, it fills the more immediate need for them. I think the Ravens can get by with Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman and those receivers if that group can stay healthy because they have Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. And those two are also pass catchers that can contribute in that offense. The thing with Reddick, though, and this is also for Ayuk too, is those contracts are going to be some hefty ones. I know Ayuk wants upwards of $30 million a season. Reddick probably wants in that range too. If I had to pick a realistic option, a name that you didn't mention there, I'd probably say Matthew Judon might be someone that the Ravens could look at just because he's only playing on, I think it's about $6 or $7 million as his cap hit this season. The Ravens don't really have a lot of money. they could restructure some guys, but they don't really love doing that. Judon would represent, and he's not Hassan Reddick, but he would be about 80%, 70% of the player, assuming he can stay healthy, and you have him for 3 times less money, 4 times less money. I think that he would fit into Baltimore's cap situation more. So again, I've been kind of banging the table for the Ravens to get a veteran wide receiver for Lamar forever. I think he deserves it, and I hope one day he'll get it. But right now, I think that edge rusher is the bigger priority for him.
So you're in favor of, because I know Judon's been here before, but you're saying that they should bring him back on contract.
Yeah, I think it would be. I don't really see the allure of him playing in New England anymore. Like they're going through a rebuild stage. He wants a new contract. I feel like he wants to go to a place where he can try to win. I feel like he has one more good deal left. Like he can go out there and get a good deal. They would have, because the issue with Judon is he doesn't want to play under that 6.5 because he knows that he's better than that. So he wants a contract that represents his value. So I think that money would be less than Hassan Reddick's and what his number is. And if they wanted to give him more of a backloaded deal, they can fit into their salary cap situation now, maybe a 4-year deal that is technically a 3-year deal they can get out of, or a 3-year deal is a 2-year deal, or whatever it may be. I mean, he liked it in Baltimore. Not that he doesn't like it in New England, but he had good times here. And I feel like he would be welcome back to the team with open arms. I feel like that out of Ayuk, Reddick, anybody else that's available, I feel like he might be the most realistic option.
Let's be honest, he doesn't like it in New England.
Maybe not anymore.
I think those days are long.
Nobody's liked it in New England since
it's cold at the TB12. Like it's cold. It's colder up there. It's much colder up there, man.
I got a question for you. We didn't seen the preseason game on Friday. We seen injuries, with Wiggins and in practice, Kyle Hamilton. Yeah. For Wiggins, now I noticed that he did play great in that first half of the game, and he had 3, I think, pass deflections, and he covered his men very well. My problem is with him is his weight. I think he's a great player, but I think he might need to put on some weight. What do you think?
I agree with you. I think his current playing weight is not sustainable, but I think Baltimore understood that when they drafted him. I think this is the year we're going to see it be the most issue for him, because I feel like with a proper NFL offseason next year, when this season is over with, he can get into the Ravens strength program for a full offseason. It's the same thing also. Their second round pick, Raja Rosengarten, he has great athleticism, but it's kind of the same problem where, there's not enough frame on him. He's kind of a slender guy compared to some of the others at his position. And we saw Wiggins is a player that isn't afraid of contact. He's a physical player. He goes out there. But of course, there is a difference when you're taking that leap from college to the NFL, and some of the players you're going up against each and every week. So he did what he was supposed to do in this one. I thought he used the speed well. I think the balance that the Ravens and he are going to have to find together is what weight can he realistically play at where he doesn't lose his speed, or at least lose enough of it to where it actually feels bad for him, because he has that sub 4.3 speed. But that's the biggest part of his game, where he has that recovery speed. He can go toe to toe with some of these track meet offenses. But if he plays it the way he is now, we kind of saw this with another former Ravens corner now, Marcus Peters, who also is kind of like that slender build, and he made business decisions a lot of the time about he wasn't going to get involved in a tackle here. He was going to let a guy run past him there. And I think that actually caused a lot of issues. And I think it was the reason he got cut from the Raiders when he went there, is he didn't show that effort. But Wiggins shows that. Like, Wiggins gets in the middle of things. He wants to be involved in run support. And I think that will result in some injuries if the frame stays the way it is. So I agree with you. I think long-term, he's probably going to have to put on a little bit of weight. But can they find a number together to where maybe he loses 5% of that speed, but he's able to gain a lot more durability and bulk? Because historically, the Ravens do love, that profile. Marlon Humphrey is a super bulky corner. Kyle Hamilton is a super bulky safety. Brandon Stevens, all these guys. I feel like long-term, the solution for them is to find a balance between the weight and the speed that makes Wiggins feel as comfortable as he can while still having added durability.
All right, between me and you.
So we're not here.
Yeah, you're not here. You're not here. Nobody else is here. It's just between me and him. Do you? Yeah, she put a little sign up.
Yeah, there you
go. Do you think that Rashad Bateman is the number 2 on this team? I'm trying to put my mind around it. I like the guy. I loved when we drafted him. I was happy, but he's been hurt the last couple years, and well, not last year, but the previous years, and is like, is this guy going to finally break out? Because I mean, one, he can't stay healthy during training camp. I don't understand. I don't get it. But what are your thoughts? Do you think he's going to be healthy?
I think, yeah, for me, if he can stay healthy, I do predict a breakout. But as you talked about, that's the biggest question: is can he stay on the field? We've seen, if this is a new thing that happened on Monday in practice where he pulled up and John Harbaugh very clearly did not want to talk about it after the fact, even though he said he'd be fine. I think there's frustration for everybody involved right now. Rashad Bateman, the coaching staff, the medical staff, obviously the fan base, and rightfully so. And Bateman even talked about that himself. He said, if the fans are frustrated with me, I get it. Like, I understand. But this would be 3 injuries in 3 weeks of training camp, all related to different things. If this is a different injury he suffered today, where apparently he pulled up on a route when he returned after missing some time, after kind of a freak falling on the football accident after catching a pass. But they have indicated that they believe in him, and there's been no indication that they don't. They brought in guys not to compete with him, but to compliment him. Everybody's gone up on the podium, has complimented him as well, and been very, okay, this is the guy, he's breaking out. I personally would have tried to add somebody else just for insurance purposes, because I think while Nelson Aguilar showed a lot for them last season, he was, I think, better than anybody anticipated. Him getting that bump from number 4 to number 3 with Odell now being in Miami, is that the right role for him? Can Tez Walker come on quickly enough to be able to supplant a role if Bateman has to miss time? There are still some players out there. I mean, Michael Thomas is out there, Hunter Renfrow. Are those needle movers enough, though, for them? My dream target for them was Courtland Sutton. I felt like he, with contract and the ability, that would have been like the perfect number 2 guy to put in this offense with Zay Flowers and have Bateman be the 3. I don't think this is a make or break year for Bateman in terms of his, he's not going to be on the team next season if he doesn't perform well, but I think this is a make or break year in terms of the role that they give him. I think this is the last chance for him to prove, hey, I can go out there and I can take on a big role, because the contract is 3 years, $15 million, 3 years, $16 million. That's a steal in this wide receiver market where guys are getting, Gabe Davis got what, $13 million. Darnell Mooney got $13 million, getting Bateman for 17 or whatever it was total. That's a good contract. So he has value there. But you can't continue playing the game with him if you can't put it together this season, because they're giving him every opportunity. I think he will be the 2. He'll get that opportunity. But then I know the worry is kind of like we saw this in 2022 when they decided to bring nobody and make Bateman the 1, make Devin Duvernay the 2, and then everybody got injured and it was just a mess. So he has all the talent in the world. I still believe in Rashad Bateman if he can stay healthy, but he has to prove that he can go out there, because he and Lamar are so far behind in the chemistry department. They have to figure that out in training camp. But again, Lamar missed time with an illness. Bateman's missed time with an injury. We're kind of going through that same cycle right now. Hopefully that can change and we can kind of get more consistent performances. But I know that there's a lot of worry within the fan base about that number 2 spot for sure, because, you have Zay and that's a start. But other than that, you don't want to rely too heavy on him. Andrews is likely to be your entire passing offense. Got to have other guys step up too.
Oh, man. We've seen we've seen Josh Johnson and Devin Leary on Friday. Not good. Not good at all. Do you think that we should, upgrade the backup QB, or do you think we should give them another week, maybe this Saturday, to see what they got?
I'd probably give them another week, but if we don't see enough improvement there, I think that, I'm not hitting the panic button right now, but if we see another poor performance by again, every quarterback on the roster not named Lamar Jackson, I think you do have to maybe look for an upgrade there, because look, Johnson's had a heck of a career. He's been everywhere. It feels like NFL at all every league, it seems like too. But at this point, we know if Lamar Jackson goes down, he has to miss any time. Like, we know if Lamar's out for the year, then there's Super Bowl chances. They go from up here to, sinking way down there. But the way that I try to look at it is, what if Lamar has to miss like 3 games or 4 games, like a month, and you're calling upon a guy to go out there, let's say it's October, and you say, all right, Lamar's going to miss 4 games. We have to get somebody out there that's going to hopefully help us win these next 4 games. If you lose these 4 games, you're in a pretty bad spot, even though it's October. So I don't look at it as, oh, well, yeah, if Lamar gets injured, the Super Bowl hopes are up in flames. I think everybody knows that if Lamar goes down, it's kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? They're not going to throw in the towel, but Lamar's the thing that makes the gears turn. But are you trusting Josh Johnson in a 4-game situation or however long it is if Lamar has to miss time? Because the Ravens will still be in it. Lamar would still come back at that point. So I know out there right now, Ryan Tannehill's been the big name that everybody's talking about. Obviously, he has the connection with Derrick Henry from the Tennessee days and how that would work. I know that, skill set wise, Ryan Tannehill is just a little less athletic than Lamar Jackson, just a tiny bit, just a little bit over there. I see the thumbs down too. I get it. But I feel like a dark horse is, I don't know what's going on with Tyler Huntley right now in Cleveland. That move confused me off the jump, where he's the 4th quarterback there, right? I don't think he makes that team unless they keep 4 quarterbacks. I thought he was going to go to a place where he can compete for a starting job, maybe get that opportunity. I thought he deserved it after, didn't show like everything in the world in Baltimore, but I think he showed enough to at least have a shot. Could they bring back him as a backup option? I mean, I think it's better than Josh Johnson at this point. So it's definitely something to monitor for me.
All right. Let me ask you, what do you think is the most talented division right now, the AFC North or the NFC North?
Well, I got to go AFC North. I think that every team in that division could win 10 games this season. It wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't shock me one bit. Baltimore obviously has the upper hand going into the season with the division crown here in Baltimore, but Cincinnati's getting Joe Burrow back. And that obviously is a huge boost regardless. I mean, they're a team that it's kind of like the Lamar situation in Baltimore. If any of these guys lose their franchise quarterbacks, obviously the ceiling goes down. And we saw that even with Jake Browning doing some stuff for them last season, it still felt, Joe Burrow would have helped them. Pittsburgh needed anything other than Kenny Pickett and Mr. Trubisky. I mean, it was the bottom of the barrel there for them. And even though Russell Wilson, we all know, it was a failure in Denver, Justin Fields had, not work out in Chicago, but that's an upgrade. It's crazy to say, but it is an upgrade over there for Pittsburgh. And that's actually the team Lamar struggled the most against in his career. I believe in the last 8 games, Lamar and the Ravens are 1-7 in those games. So that Pittsburgh defense is, is no joke. And we know Patrick Queen went over there and started talking about the Baltimore food and everything, and Pittsburgh is better and all this stuff. So that added fuel to the rivalry most definitely. And then Cleveland, I mean, it's all on Deshaun Watson's shoulders, I feel like. But then again, Joe Flacco came in there and he led them to the playoffs. So it's kind of like, can they survive with Jameis Winston if Watson doesn't work out? I don't know, but I mean, it feels like they have to get some level.
I like Jameis.
I think the answer to that question, I think it's no. Jameis against these defenses in the AFC North, that's a lot of interceptions I see on the table for Jameis. But I still feel like if Deshaun Watson can find any of that, like Houston magic, okay, maybe they're back. But what has he shown us in his 2 years in Cleveland that his proven? I mean, he had 1 game and it was against the Ravens, and then he broke his shoulder. He was out for the season. So I think the NFC North is super talented. Don't get me wrong, but man, I got to give it to the AFC North.
And then let me follow up with asking you, who do you think would have a more disappointing season in the playoffs, Lamar or Dak?
That's the question everybody's talking about right now. I don't know. I feel like Dak is, to me, especially after how they went out last year to Green Bay, it felt like that's like the bottom. Where Lamar has he been up to standard in the playoffs? No. Like, he has to be better in the playoffs. But we also, it feels like we're washing away like the Houston game last season when he was dominant in that game, and these others as well, where that was Lamar's first AFC championship, did not play up to standard in there, had a couple of bad throws. It wasn't actually, of course, it wasn't all on him too. Like, none of these losses are all on Lamar, but that's the narrative people want to run with because obviously he's the quarterback, and that's just how it goes for him, unfortunately, where to me, and I've said this, his successes, he gets plenty of praise, but his mistakes seem to be magnified more than everybody else's, where people have that microscope on him, and whenever Lamar does something, and then another one of these quarterbacks does it, it's always, well, Lamar's the one that gets in trouble for it. And then, a Mahomes or somebody does not, even though they're kind of working with the same thing. For example, Mahomes had bad wide receivers last year, and everyone was like, they need to help Mahomes, And then with Lamar, Where have his star receivers been? And it's all been, can Lamar carry the team? Lamar's not living up to the standard. Lamar's not elevating his guys, which Lamar does, by the way. But in the playoffs, he knows he has to be better. Everybody knows he has to be better. But to me, Dak and his playoff performances, I think Dak is 2-5. Lamar's 2-4, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I flipped those around. But they're on the same playing field. But I think Dak has had more just bad playoff moments, even though Lamar has had his. Dak's also in his 30s. Lamar still has a lot of time. So I think that, to me, I'm going Dak there.
How do you see the offensive line playing out, Kevin?
Yeah, it's a good question because they lost 60% of their guys, their starters. And if you lose 60% of your starters as a competing team, you have to be sure about the guys who are playing in there. And I think they're sure about two of them. I think they like Andrew Voorhees a lot, and I think he showed that in the first preseason game. I think he is all but a lock for that left guard spot. And then Roger Rosengarten, while again, there is the concern a little bit about his weight and kind of his functional strength, his pass protection is incredible. His foot speed is great. And I feel like he's going to be the guy to win that right tackle job. They started Daniel Falele at the right guard position. They're trying to replace Kevin Zeitler there, who is one of the more consistent players in the business in the offensive line department. He didn't look great. I thought it wasn't all terrible, but he didn't look wonderful. So the options there, it's Ben Cleveland. It's maybe Patrick McCary, but I think they want to use him as their sixth offensive lineman, so I'm kind of ruling him out. Ronnie Stanley's the big X factor here, though. Like, obviously, we can talk about the young players' performances and how they can do. I expect growing pains. You're trying to gel a new unit together. But it's going to be Ronnie's health. We saw Ronnie pick it up towards the end of the season last year, especially in the playoffs, because they were running that rotation when McCary would come in for him for a drive, and then Daniel Falele would come in for Morgan Moses for a drive. And they'd rotate guys in and out, and that helped Stanley get rest. It helped him not have as much stress on him in terms of a physical perspective, and that helped him. But if Stanley can play the whole year healthy and play effectively, get back to not even, let's just say 70% of what he was, what at his peak, that's good enough for them. But if he's continuing to be in and out of the lineup, they're testing their depth, that's where it could be an issue, because since they're going so young, they don't have a ton of other talent behind the other young talent they're going to start already. So that's where you kind of get into a tricky situation where you're going to have to rely on a lot of your guys to be healthy this season, or else you might be in a bit of trouble, especially when it comes to a consistency perspective.
Out of everybody in the AFC North, who do you think is the best team that's going to give us the most trouble?
Oh, it feels right now like Cincinnati's that team, but those Mike Tomlin Steelers, man, they always find a way, and I don't know how it's that Mike Tomlin magic, I guess is what people call it, where the non-losing seasons and making the most out of nothing and stuff along those lines. I think that's the team Lamar and the Ravens have to figure out. It's not just a Lamar thing either recently, right? It's the entire team. Cincinnati, I'm very curious because Mike McDonald was that team's kryptonite. They could not figure out Mike McDonald for the life of them. It felt like every time he and Joe Burrow, dueled together, Mike McDonald was coming out victorious almost every single time when it mattered. Now, with Zach, we're going to be able to replicate that. The defense isn't going to change all that much. Of course, it's a new system with Zach Gore. You're going to implement that. But the reason they went internal with that was to keep the system in place, which they did with Don Martindale. They did with Dean Pease, and you can go back and back and back for those systems. But with Pittsburgh, their defense has been so challenging for them. They have a new offensive system now with Arthur Smith coming in. They're expected to heavily feature their running game and Pat Freiermuth in that tight end room. And if George Pickens can take that next step and be a pure alpha number one receiver, which I think a lot of people in Pittsburgh believe right now, it'll be challenging. But again, that all hinges on the quarterback play. Can you put Russell Wilson out there twice a year against this Ravens defense and expect 30 points? The answer to that question is no. I mean, you know that it's going to be – and those Ravens Steelers games are always like 13-10 with it coming down to like late in the fourth quarter. It's a sloppy game. The Ravens, one of those games in Pittsburgh last year had 7 drops. And it's one of those games where one team finds a way to win off of the other's mistakes. And that's what Pittsburgh has done to the Ravens recently. So I feel like it'll come down to Baltimore and Cincinnati, but I really still think that Baltimore has to figure out Pittsburgh in the long run.
Do you think that the Pittsburgh Steelers trade for Brandon Ayuk?
I feel like if there is a team that would do it, it would be them. I mean, Ayuk, and the thing with that situation too is it's kind of unique because he kind of picks where he goes because he can just deny to, he said New England, I'm not signing there. I'm not doing that. It could be a rental, but that's not worth it for any team giving up what they need to get Brandon Ayuk from San Francisco. I think Pittsburgh has the cap situation to do it right now. Russell Wilson signed there for cheap. Justin Fields is still on a rookie deal. So they have the opportunity to go out there and add a wide receiver. I think, honestly, and look, is someone who covers the Ravens, I would hate it from a perspective of it's like the last thing that I think this whole AFC wants to see. But I can't really find another team. He doesn't want to go to Cleveland, apparently. New England is out of the picture. I think it's between Pittsburgh and him just staying in San Francisco. Or maybe that's what it was all along. This was all a tactic to get the 49ers to restart those conversations, up that offer, and all works out. And then maybe they try to move Debo next offseason. Who knows what they try to do. But I feel like at this point, it's either the Pittsburgh thing works out or he just stays in San Francisco, gets the money he wants, or there's some compromise. And then they just figure out what to do with one of their other guys because that San Francisco cap situation – they're going to have to move off of somebody at some point. They're paying everybody. So I don't know. It's between one or the other, between Debo and Brandon Ayuk. And I'm actually very curious to see who they pick.
I got one more question for you. Do you think Zach Orr gets the best out of this defense, like our previous defensive coordinator, Mike Macdonald? Or do you think we take not a dramatic drop-off, but a little bit of a drop-off?
I think yes to both. I think a little drop off to me is like anywhere from 2 to 4. They were the best defense and they put up historic numbers last season. And realistically, I go back to 2019, Lamar's first MVP season, when he obviously put up historic passing numbers and rushing numbers as well. I mean, that whole offense was historic. And I kind of warned people for that 2020 season. I said, it is very likely that Lamar takes a step back in terms of box score statistics, but improves in efficiency. Because if you expect an increase in box score statistics every season, we're in 2024 now, we'd be up to 60 touchdowns per season for Lamar. And then that's not realistic. So for the defense, it's kind of the same thing where they had a franchise high in sacks. They had, all these historic numbers. I think their efficiency goes up this season, but I think in terms of will they replicate their box score statistics, maybe not to the level they did, but this is still a top 5 defense minimum. Because while they lost Patrick Queen, they lost Jadeveon Clowney, they lost some of these guys, I think people are talking about them and talking about the team in general, honestly, like they lost their stars. Like Roquan Smith is no longer there. Like Kyle Hamilton is no longer there. And Matabike and Marlon Humphrey and whoever else you want to put in that conversation, they have the guys to replace the guys that they lost. It's going to be a matter of can they step up? But I think we'd be having a much more serious conversation about the defense had they lost Roquan Smith or had they lost Marlon Humphrey, because those are some of the players, obviously Hamilton and everybody, that are the lifebloods of your unit. So I think by the end of the season, Zach Orr is going to get the best out of his unit. And Kyle Hamilton talked a bit about that during the preseason game where he said, it's no disrespect to Mike Macdonald, gave Mike Macdonald his flowers and everything, said he was great, but ended up saying that, look, Zach Orr has that player mentality. He's been there. He's done what we're doing right now. And to have that is very valuable. He's someone who is very passionate, wants to be on the sideline with his guys, look into their eyes, see the emotion. He said all that at his introductory press conference. I expect there to be growing pains. I mean, look, he has no easy schedule to open up this season. He has to go up against Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and all those guys in week 1 as a first-time play caller. You got guys like Dak and Joe Burrow and everybody coming up in those first 5 weeks. It's going to be a challenge. But we saw that progression with Mike Macdonald too, where that week 2 game against Miami back in 2022, they blew that, a 28-point lead, and he made all the wrong calls in that game. And everybody was wondering, okay, is this the right guy for the job? What's going on? I expect there to be some growing pains for Zach Orr, but with Mike Macdonald, he turned it around the next week and he never looked back. And I expect Zach Orr, there might be a dip, there might be a struggle here, but I think he'll respond to it because he's been in this Ravens system both as a player and as a coach. He knows what it takes. He's familiar with the guys. And I do expect a big year for Zach Orr, even though it might take a little time for him to fully warm up to full-time play calling duties. He's had enough experiences in that locker room, both as a player and as a coach, to understand what it takes.
Gotcha.
Before I do this thing when anytime somebody that's worked for the Ravens or has any type of affiliation with the Ravens, I let all my guys get their questions in because I'm the lone guy that's from further down I-95 South.
Oh,
But
all right.
I do have a question before we gas up the pace and go down 95 South. Have you been to all of the stadiums in the division?
I have not actually. I haven't been to a lot of games actually. I do so much work post game. I do Bleacher Report live streams and all. I haven't been able to. Obviously, M&T Bank, they actually added a lot of new stuff,
Right?
And I expect everybody's expected to get in on that action. I've actually been to. I've been to none of the other three.
Oof. I was sure about to ask. There's a major upgrade. I think they have to go through a couple more approval processes, but there's about to be a major upgrade for the Cleveland Browns. But I was just gonna ask about that. But so if we gas up this pacer, I'm a Commanders fan.
Okay.
I hear these guys talk about how great the organization is, how well run it is, and it's the complete opposite down here. Things are changing, but I know it's gonna take some time. One, before I get more further into it, Brandon Ayuk wanted to go to the Commanders. I think he absolutely wanted to go to the Commanders, but we have a legit GM, and spending that type of money, like you were saying earlier, $30+ million a year wide receiver, probably not the greatest, especially with the offensive line that we have, the makeshift offensive line, if you will. I don't know if you got any chance to look at any glimpses of Jayden Daniels with the Jets. I saw some things that raving about him in training camp. I wanted to know what were your thoughts on what you've seen and what you've heard, or if you heard anything coming out of Commanders camp.
No, from everything, talking even just with our Locked On Commanders host, David Harrison, who covers training camp down there, it feels like he's doing everything he needs to be doing right now. It feels like he's looking sharp, looking good. I mean, the Jets debut that he had, I mean, he impressed, and David talked about that as well, where he looks poised for a rookie. And I think for a lot of people, obviously all eyes are on Caleb Williams and kind of like the whole fanfare over there in Chicago and what's going on. But Jayden Daniels is one of these guys that I'm super excited about because he has that franchise quarterback pedigree to him. And I feel like he could be this turning piece for them. And one of the big things that I look at, and some of the stuff that I've talked about with, some of these teams who have rookie quarterbacks is what are the pieces like around these guys? Because, you talked about the offensive line and kind of what's going on there. There's a little work to be done on the offensive line for sure. But look, having Terry McLaurin out there is not a bad wide receiver one to have. Obviously, they're expecting some other guys to step up as well. But I think with this Cliff Kingsbury offense and kind of the way that they can grow together, first time, well, I know Cliff Kingsbury has his experience, but with Kingsbury going to the Commanders for the first time, having Jayden Daniels come in as a rookie, that's a good guy to have in that offensive system to be able to grow together and alongside one another. So I know that there was a Kingsbury connection with Caleb Williams, and everybody's like, oh, what if Caleb Williams was the guy? And we know the local connections too. But I think Jayden Daniels is a 1-2 pick combo. Those two have the ability to kind of grow alongside each other. And I love that pick. I thought that they should not overthink it. If they went Drake May, I thought they would have been overthinking it. I thought they made the safe and smart pick with Jayden Daniels.
Indeed. I feel great about it. And to Raj's point, you talking about Nate Wiggins. Listen, as long as he's not Emmanuel Forbes, y'all should be all right.
I know Forbes had some bad moments in those joint practices last year with the Ravens. So I know it hasn't looked too good for him recently.
It just makes me, I want to forget about Ron Rivera, and that pick just is not going to let me forget about it. First round pick, and he's looking like a bust. I don't know what more we can do with him. I don't know what defensive coordinator Joe Witt or Dan Quinn can do, but we'll see how it goes. But if he's my number one corner, I'm terrified. If you've seen our schedule, the top receiver, we got some of the best receivers that we're going to face. I am terrified.
Yeah, that's another test for him. I know. And in that draft, I was loving Christian Gonzalez, and I didn't know he was going to fall all the way to New England. That was the guy that I thought they should have gone with. But there you go. I know you agree with me now with that reaction.
We did a live stream. He was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Chris, this has to be, I'm surprised he fell that far.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm so surprised. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's there. Make the pick. Who? Oh, and here come the Patriots right behind us. Tristan Gonzalez, God, dog, and he was playing amazing until he got his season into injury. So I don't feel good about that draft, that pick, or anything. So we'll see what happens. But for once, I like our linebacking core. I love the linebacking core. I haven't said that in years. So there's some positives, but there's still some things to work on.
Yeah, you know, getting a vet in there like Bobby Wagner helps everybody. So I like that for him.
While we're still on the subject of the NFL, when do you see an 18-game season coming?
Ooh.
Well, it's got to be coming soon. It has to be coming soon. I mean, it's added opportunity. Especially with who was it, Joe Burrow, who said something about it, and that kind of got all those the media went crazy about that. But we're in 2024 now. I might expect something by 2026 or 2027. I think next year would be a little early. I wouldn't be shocked if they just kind of brute forced it next year, but I feel like 2026 is probably the year that they might do some revisions and figure things out, maybe.
Do you see it going any higher than 18 games, or that's going to be the limit?
I'd be pretty shocked. I mean, but then again, I said I'd be shocked if it went to 17 games. So here we are. But I don't know. I think that will probably, because the thing I'm also kind of keeping my eye on is this expansion. Like, is there going to be an expansion? What does that look like? You know, is there going to be a team in London? Are they going to move to Mexico City? Are they going to make this game international? They've certainly been hyping it up as they're trying. I think that makes it's too much conflicting time zones, in my opinion. I don't really know how that would work with going back and forth. And do you make two separate leagues? Like, what do you do with that? But I feel like the 18-game schedule is something that we're going to see a lot sooner than something like that. But man, it really seems like the NFL's pushing to make this game international.
You think we'll ever see do you think we'll ever see NFL football in the Olympics?
I think they'd have to probably expand it a little more. I mean, again, it would be to a much bigger scale that USA basketball is on right now. Where basketball is a global game, right? We know basketball is a global game, but you know, American football is something that, like, you have guys that have come over and been successful from overseas, but I don't think we're nearly to that point yet to where we can field multiple countries of it. And honestly, the other question with that to me is how many guys want to participate and put their bodies on the line again? What would the rules be? Because do they value, you know, what would that look like? Would there be enough participation? I think you could field enough, but how many people would actually want to do it is the other thing too.
We'll see how flag football goes first.
Exactly.
Let's see how flag goes, and we'll see from it. But no, I don't foresee that. I think flag is probably as far as we go because it is American football. So to try to force that into the Olympics is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, that is.
I agree.
And also with the 18 games, do you think? Because I'm thinking you have to add another bye week, right?
I would definitely think you need 2 bye weeks. It'd be pretty crazy. I mean, but the thing, you would have to kind of make it on like a schedule for different teams to where it's more organized than it is now, where, you know, one team can have a week 14 bye, the other team can have like a week
that's crazy
4 bye. You know, that gets a little difficult because if you have an early bye, you're playing like 4 months of football straight, where if you have like the bye in the middle, you get a nice little break in between. And I think that is a little bit of an advantage. But, you know, you're going to have teams that have bye week and then have to play the rest of the season. Like, is it a week 4, week 6? Like, you got to have it like a little, at least a mandatory, like, spread out of like it has to be 6 weeks apart or something like that, because you don't want to have them too close together. That helps nobody.
All right. How do you feel about the quarterbacks coming out of preseason from week 1?
I thought Caleb looked really good. And again, it's just going through his progressions and making the right reason. Every rookie quarterback has to do that, right? It's an adjustment from the college game to the NFL game. Look, Bo Nix put on a heck of a performance. Like, Bo Nix went kind of crazy. I don't know if that's going to I don't know if it's going to translate just because I don't know if they have the weapons around him right now. Like, obviously it's Cortland Sutton. They brought in Troy Franklin, but Denver's going to be, I mean, I don't expect them to do much this season, but I like Bo Nix coming out. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do much. McCarthy, I'm intrigued about McCarthy just because when you have Justin Jefferson on the other side, man, I mean, that helps you automatically. You're set up for success when you have him there. They brought in Aaron Jones, who was a great pass catching back. So I think they set up JJ. Honestly, I think all the rookies, I mean, even Drake May, everybody seems impressed. But the one thing in New England, at least, is that Drake May is not a lock to be the starter. Obviously, they brought back Jacoby, and is he going to be the guy there? But Joe Milton looks good. I was mad when the Patriots. I wanted him in a Baltimore uniform because I thought, look, the Ravens need a backup quarterback. He was the last guy I would have taken in that backup quarterback situation. He has a strong arm, man. He can fling that thing. And then they took Devin Leary, and I was kind of like, okay.
That's how I was. I was like,
yeah. I was like, I don't really know, but Joe Milton would have been my guy. So does he make some quarterback controversy? It'd be crazy if they started a 6th-round rookie over their 3rd overall pick, if that's what it came down to. But you know what? Talent is talent. So you gotta find a way to use it.
I mean, they would know because they didn't. And we've seen this.
This exact thing. Yep.
We've seen this 24 years ago.
All right, Kevin, before we get you out of here, we got to get your Super Bowl prediction. The season is almost here. How do you see the AFC playing out? Maybe who are some teams that we should watch, and the NFC as well? And who do you think plays in New Orleans? Do the Ravens possibly return back?
I think in the AFC, Baltimore's obviously a team you got to watch. Cincinnati as well. I think even though Buffalo had to get rid of a lot of vets, I don't think you can rule out a team with Josh Allen as long as he's healthy. And they've certainly tried to add some pieces around him, even though Stephon Diggs is no longer there. The Jets are such a wild card to me with Aaron Rodgers and how that ends up going. I think Miami's one of the dark horses. Well, maybe not. Dark horse might not be the right word, but I still think that.
No, it is.
Yeah. They're a team that, like, if they can get their pass rushers back and if Tua can take that step, if he can get that deep ball going a little more, they certainly have a chance. And then in the AFC South, I mean, I love Houston's roster personally. I think they're a team to me that, like, I think they're AFC championship material this season. Can't count out teams like Tennessee. I think is my pure dark horse. Like, that's a team that, like, I love what they did surrounding Will Levis with talent. They added some defensive pieces as well. They're a team that, like, could certainly vie for at least like that 5th seed, like top wild card spot, if not the division. And then Kansas City's, like, obviously that's the team. In the NFC, it's not as stacked as the AFC is, but Philadelphia, Dallas, San Fran, obviously. Nobody in the NFC South really scares me. If I'm in that conference, I don't think there's anybody in that conference that does anything for me, unfortunately for them. And then, man, I just think Green Bay, Jordan Love, obviously Detroit. And in terms of who I think plays in the Super Bowl, I'm going to go New Orleans rematch. I'm going to go Ravens 49ers. And I'll say the Ravens win it again. But if you told me it was the 49ers, I wouldn't be shocked.
Fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
We would just be happy to get there at this point, getting over the hump.
That's exactly it.
We get there, we trying to win.
Just
get there. No,
we
win it.
You don't know when you're going back, so you got to try to win it then.
Because then the conversation is Lamar didn't win a Super Bowl like Cam Newton.
Oh, it would be. It's already exhausting now. It'd be 10 times worse if that were to happen. They wouldn't give him any credit. They just tear him down for the loss, and it's not fair, man. I don't know what he has to do, but
he has to impress Nick Wright. That's what he has to do.
Hey, man.
There we go.
And I like Nick Wright too.
That's step one right there. And I'm a Nuggets fan, and Nick Wright is also a Jokic hater. So that's double trouble for me.
You think the Nuggets going to bounce back this season?
I hope so. I mean, now I want to do it for Russ because Russ is now on a squad, and so I'm like, hey, let's get Russ that first ring. And now there's all the KD drama with Swiper, who's my guy over at Locked On Nuggets, and because the Nuggets Nation. Obviously, for me, I was rooting for USA, and if it wasn't USA, I was rooting for Serbia in Jokic. But obviously, Swiper was rooting for both teams. KD called a win of it. He called out Nuggets fans. He called out like all the people rooting for Serbia. Now there's this whole KD Nuggets fan drama. So with the Russ KD rivalry, with the KD Nuggets rivalry, the Nuggets play the Suns on Christmas. Man, it's gonna be about Jamal Murray though. To me, I mean, we can all be honest. In the Olympics, he did not look right. He did not look great. So. If you've seen the Jamal Murray doppelganger memes of that TikToker who looks like him and he has the jersey on and everything, we might be seeing a lot more of those if he can't bounce back, and he's going to sign a max contract. So that to me is a little worrisome, but we're going to see. I'm a Jamal Murray guy, but we're going to see how it plays out for him.
I wish that Jamal Murray showed up when he was playing the Lakers, but That's neither here nor there.
Man, see, it's some point that like, look, I have loved especially growing up rooting for the team and seeing Kobe just, destroy them over and over and over again. To have the Nuggets kind of be on top of that rivalry now, it feels good. But at some point, I mean, it's LeBron. There has to be a win or two in the books for him. I don't really know what it takes, but that's the thing too. Is like if AD stays healthy and LeBron can stay healthy, and man, 40 years old, I mean, that's still a tough duo to stop.
Crazy. He's the best. He looked like the best player in the Olympics.
Man, he could play till he's 50. He could play till he's 50.
Well, Kevin, you are a fantastic guy. We got to have you back before the season is over to see how the predictions work out. Let the people know how to keep up with you and what you got cooking up. I know you're never sleeping, as you mentioned.
Yeah, never sleeping, guys. I appreciate it. This was a blast. Appreciate you having me on. You can find me over at Locked On Ravens 5 days a week. We go live over there to do bonus game reactions as well. We do live after every piece of Ravens big news, but our general show is Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern. You can subscribe in video form, follow in audio form. I also write over at USA Today's Ravens Wire. You can find my written content over there. I do some video content for Bleacher Report as well. You can find me over on the Bleacher Report app doing stuff. And then obviously the Ryan Rickman Show as well. Talking Orioles, talking Ravens, talking Baltimore sports. So Baltimore sports is fun right now. Orioles are hot. Ravens are hot. So it's a good time to be a Baltimore sports fan.
Yeah, Kevin, we may have to have you back with those O's, man. I'm a little worried right now.
Let me ask you then. Orioles or Yankees? Who wins the division?
Ooh.
Man, the Yankees are well, let me not talk like the Orioles aren't inconsistent. But like I feel like the Yankees, man, it's Judge and Soto. And then I guess Jazz is kind of doing his thing over there right now. But I'm going O's, man. I gotta go with them. They have too much. You're a Yankees guy?
Yep, through and through.
All right, man. Judge is awesome, man.
They did lose to the White Sox tonight, Dre, who have 91 losses, by the way. So
hey, it's a long season.
Hey,
162 games.
1 out of 162. There you go.
Kevin, thank you again, brother. We'll be talking to you. We'll have you back on. Probably talk maybe some Orioles postseason and see how the Ravens are doing maybe midway through the season. We appreciate you, my brother, and keep up the great work.
Absolutely, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Yes, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for coming on, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you, man.
Give it up one more time to Kevin Oestreicher, everybody. Locked On Ravens, Ravens Wire, USA Today.com. Make sure you check out his content. And let's do him on 105.7 The Fan at least once a week as well. Appreciate Kevin. We'll have him back to talk some O's as they head into the postseason. And Ravens. He has Ravens 49ers rematch in the Super Bowl. But we're going to come back to the NFL. I did want to get to the Olympics because the Olympics was a little bit of everything. Like Rod said, we had some breakdancing. We know LA will be hosting the 2028 games. We had maybe the best international basketball game ever.
Snoop Dogg out there.
Just a little bit of everything. Sha'Carri Richardson, Noah Dre Lyles, because that's who Dre looks like. He even got the hair like him.
No, I look better than him. Don't start that.
He was in the club with Kobe, man.
You ain't painting your fingernails, man. Ain't painting your fingernails.
No, I do not paint my fingernails.
Raj, how'd you feel about the Olympics with the USA dominating with 126 medals to 91, which was China tied for number one with gold as well?
Man, I felt great, man. I mean, I couldn't watch everything, but the things that I did catch, I caught the men's, most of the men's games. Steph Curry is out of his mind, bro. Like, I think he hit the last 4 3-pointers to close them out, close out France. I thought he was fantastic. LeBron played excellent throughout the whole entire Olympics. He was great as well.
Can't forget KD.
Oh, of course, KD was fantastic as well.
KD started hot.
Yeah, KD came out the injury just firing shots. So he was fantastic as well. So shout out to them for winning the gold for the men. For the women, they played France too, and that was probably the most action I seen the entire Olympics with them. You know, when they played the championship game, but they got it done 1 by 1 point. The women were playing hard. Asia Wilson, she's a beast. Ooh. She's a monster. They tore the house down. Kelsey Plum as well. So shout out to them as well. I didn't catch this live, but I went back earlier today because y'all was in the text messages talking about breakdancing. So I had to do some research on that. And to be honest with you, I from what I saw, I liked it. I thought it was dope.
Man.
I mean, did it look a little bit corny? Sure.
A little bit.
A little bit, sure. Could they upgraded the music choices? Most definitely. And did they have this one girl who looked crazy out there? Yeah, she looked hilariously
They
crazy.
not like us.
They definitely not like us. But I thought it was a dope concept, man, because it's something different, you know. And I think that, well, of course, they're not going to bring it back for 28, which I don't understand. They should bring it back, but they should do it a little differently and a little bit more correctly. But just the concept of them, you know, even trying to end the Olympics, I thought was pretty dope. But I thought that was cool. Of course, everything else that we saw, track, Noah Lyles, Sha'Carri Richardson winning gold. I thought that was dope. You know, the different events, the 800, the 400. You know what I'm saying? They was dope as well. The relay races with the men and women, they was dominating in track. Swimming was fantastic as well. Although we didn't do as well as we usually do in that, but that's cool. Katie Ledecky did her thing. Simone Biles, she redeemed herself completely. She did the damn thing with the squad. Although one of her teammates had to give her medal back, which is ridiculous. I thought that was crap. But other than that, man, I enjoyed the Olympics. I wish it wasn't every 4 years. I wish it was at least every 2 years. But it is what it is.
We have the winter.
I know, Winter Olympics with the yeah, we get to see that.
We out there.
Yeah,
That's for buffer in the history.
That's right. We're gonna buff them floors, baby, with the Winter Olympics. But
You understand me?
I thought it was dope. It was a dope experience. Can't wait.
It's
to see
called
what they
curling,
do
by
in
the way,
Los
ladies and
Angeles.
gentlemen.
Hopefully, I get to attend it. I want to see if I can attend it in 28. But when that time comes,
we did have our good brother, and hopefully we can get him on soon. Corey
Matthews. Actually, it's Matthews, Corey, but you did it backwards. It don't matter.
You're right.
You're right.
Go ahead, Dre.
Blame it on the COVID, man. No, I was highly, entertained. I know Raj went through swimming, but I mean the soccer, man. Those saves for USA, that was a good matchup, I thought, as well. So shout out to the to the soccer team, volleyball right there. We were close with that. I saw that Brazil game that we had. That was a good game that I was able to catch. And of course, everybody's going to be talking about, of course, the basketball with the men and the women, the big three of KD, LeBron and Curry. Compared to those big threes of the past, of like Jordan, Magic, and Bird. But this may be the best three that we've seen with KD, LeBron, and Steph, being that that gap went from Jordan, Barkley and the crew like this to now the game is really competitive. That world gap has closed a lot, and we had a couple of scares, against Serbia and against France, but we were able to pull it out.
Oh no, Dre! I told you I was never scared, brother. What did I tell you? I told you what was going to happen.
Yeah, you're right. You said that, but I think you said that in the South Sudan game.
I said that since day one. I said they gonna smash them, stack them, and pin them.
But it is a little scary moving forward because next go around we may not have any of them. We may not have KD, LeBron, or Steph. We'll see what happens in 4 years. But Steph Curry, man, I mean, you said he was saving light-skinned brothers with what he was able to cook up. I mean, the first couple games he wasn't on it, but them last 2 games, brother scored 60, and he was just on fire. Just, Steph just cooking up shots from wherever, whenever, over men who were like 6 feet taller. I mean, 6 inches taller than him. So, Steph showed some life. LeBron at his advanced age, and KD coming off the injury. So I was very proud of those gentlemen, and I'm just a little worried about the men moving forward. The women, yes, they had a scare a little bit, but the women seemed okay, especially when you got the Angel Reeses and the Caitlin Clarks coming along. So I think the women's game will be okay, but the men's game is a little concerning moving forward. And then, of course, Jordan and that controversy with her bronze medal with the woman from, I believe it was it Russia? Who she ended up giving the medal to because of some dumb controversy about whether or not America was 4 seconds over the clock of challenging, and then America saying that they were 47 seconds in. So it's just a lot about this bronze medal. At the end of the day, you gave the girl the bronze medal, and now you want to go back and review it days later. That's just craziness, goofiness, all the above that has happened with that. So hopefully this girl, she can keep her bronze medal because it's been days later. Let her keep her bronze medal, and then next go around, we'll see what happens when they face each other again down the road. But overall, the Olympics was entertaining, especially track and field. I mean, like you said, Raj, I mean, track was probably, besides USA basketball, I would say track was probably the other talk of the town. Then I would say right within that, um, I would go with probably swimming would have been number three. I think people were talking about that a lot, but like I said, soccer has to be up there as well as volleyball. I think that those other sports stood out too when it came down to the Olympic Games. I didn't catch any wrestling, which I was a little disappointed about this go
A
around.
little bit of it.
That's the only one I didn't catch. Normally, I like seeing the guys wrestle. I just always love to see that. But and I saw that WWE has somebody from the track, Mia from who's one of the track winners. She's in the NIL portion of the WWE. They announced that tonight on Raw. So shout out to her as well.
Go ahead, Cravante.
See where to start. Some things that I watched.
Thank you, brother Mark.
Okay. Gymnastics. I got a chance to.
You're right, Karate. Sorry about it. I did forget to mention gymnastics. You're right.
And I'm just thinking about stuff that I was able to catch and actually sit down and watch. Gymnastics. Simone Biles is the GOAT. I think it should have. I think it went without saying before this, but she just absolutely put her stamp, signed, sealed, and she definitely delivered this year. And along with her team, very young, very, 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 very young ladies, and they have bright futures ahead of them. It looks like moving forward, the gymnastics event for the USA is very bright, very, very bright. And Simone Biles, she's won so much, we forget how old she is. You know, we did this may be the last time we see her. I don't know if there's any announcements, but you know, once you get on the other side of 30, for regular folk, you know what I'm saying? It's a little different, but
she'll be 31 if she wants to come back.
So, you know, that's and obviously, you know, that's up to her because she has nothing else to prove by no means. Swimming, USA, we didn't do the best at swimming. Guys were out there competing, but the brother Leon from France killing it. Like everybody in the dust when it came to that swimming pool. I was able to catch a couple basketball games. I know Byron, you was confident, but brother, they were down 15 going into the fourth quarter with Serbia. That was concerning.
Wish I had some French fries right now, by the way.
They were and that the one on Thursday, so when they played Serbia, it was interesting. I was like, Jokic is the only one over there. What's going on, guys? And then, you know, Chef Curry came out. He had a crazy first half, and then Booker, KD, and all of them, everybody stepped up, and you know, after being down 15, they came back and was able to pull that off, which is absolutely great. And getting the gold on basically Kobe Bryant Day would have been 8-10-24, 8-24 for his numbers, and then his number 10 for USA. Them winning on 8-10-24 was amazing as well. So shout out to Kobe Bryant, Mamba mentality lives on. And I saw a very iconic, well, I've seen quite a few iconic pictures from Curry in that championship, well, gold medal game. There was a shot over Wemby. Crazy shot. We know how tall Wemby is and what his wingspan is. I saw how Curry had a high arcing shot over Wemby, which was great. Steph Curry doing this, putting folks to bed is crazy. I just iconic pictures with him, KD, Braun. I saw our iconic picture of the bench of the USA today after Curry was chefing them up with Ant-Man, KD, Booker. It was just it was really, really great, and it just proves that all right, it's still with guys. As long as we could collectively bring those NBA players together that's from the States, like we're still like, yeah, they're still the top of the tops, but they're still the cream of the crop when it comes to the world. Now the gap is still not even a gap anymore, but they show that this is still the upper echelon of the world. Now, 2028, because like Dre was saying, I don't know if we're gonna see either one of these brothers. As far as the big three, like KD, Braun, and Curry, we may not see none of them in 2028. So we got a lot of young talent coming up. I think it'll be, Booker and Jason Tatum, even though I completely
Ant-Man.
and Ant-Man, it'll be their team moving forward. So I think it's still in good hands, but this KD, Braun, Curry era will probably be over by the time the 2028 LA Olympics come around. Let's see. Track. Y'all already said it. Track. I let Shay talk all the trash because my gosh. So Shay, what he said, if you go low, I go to hell, or something like that. Like that's how petty he is. But
when what was it? When they go low, I go lower.
Lower, absolutely low. But he said I'll go to the lowest of the low. And watching that's entertainment as well. Snoop Dogg was great. Snoop Dogg was everywhere. It's crazy looking back at Snoop Dogg from where he once was, like how we know him to be in the rap game as a young dog. For him to be where he's at now is absolutely amazing. Snoop Dogg is, if rebranding was a person, it'd be Snoop Dogg. The way to rebrand yourself, and he's rebranded himself a couple times, and he's now a global world icon. Not to say that he wasn't before, but him doing whatever he want in Paris and dancing, having a good time. In the swimming competition, they use his music. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is really, really, really cool. And we saw a lot of cool things in this Olympics, and we saw some uncool things. I don't know, next time out Paris, it can leave a bad taste in your mouth, but because USA destroyed, it really doesn't matter because it feels like a regular Olympics because USA dominating. But it was some goofy things that happened, and I'll talk about it a little bit later as soon as I get some more clarity. So what happened? Like there was a timing thing with Jordan, and it gave a little bit of racism undertone, and I wasn't sure if I was out of bounds with that.
I mean, it looks that way, but yeah, I think it was a timing thing.
Yeah, they're saying that her landing, it was just the timing was just a little bit off, and then the challenge from America was off by just a couple of seconds. They're saying like 4-second difference, but America's challenging, saying that they did it under the minute time limit. So that's the controversy that's going on right now. I say, look, if America's saying they did it within time, I believe them. And even if it is 4 seconds over, I don't think 4 seconds is that big of a deal to challenge something. So I say you already gave the girl the bronze. Go ahead and just let her keep it. At this point, she went because it was just really odd. It went from fifth to a review to show that she was third, and now days later you're saying that the timing for the challenge was off. That's something I personally don't like. So that's where the controversy is coming from.
So it is that the challenge was too late. Is that what we're saying? That and
Yeah,
it should have been
they,
disqualified.
they're saying not that she should be disqualified, but they're saying that America challenging the timing of her jump is just a little bit off. They're saying that literally it's just like seconds, but it places her from fifth to third, and that's where the controversy is.
Got it. Yep, I agree. Mark. I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I agree. I also agree.
Let us know your thoughts on the Olympics and to the basketball point. 68 NBA players in the Olympics. You got teams like Canada, Germany, Serbia, and France who will be back in 2028. So keep an eye on some of those teams. But 68 players, and that will only grow in 2028. Cavante, let's go back to you real quick. I did want to touch on the Jayden Daniels thing. I did see that the Commanders were on Saturday afternoon, matinee television, even up here in Baltimore. Um, what did you think about Jayden Daniels? I mean, he looked good. First team looked pretty good. Is he as good as advertised? Are you pleased with what you see after one game?
It does look good. He does look as advertised. I mean, again, like I was like when we was talking to our guests, they're raving about him. I've heard nothing but good things out of Jayden Daniels, and I mean like football wise, and you know, doing the things the things you need to be doing off the field. Also right, Mark. Also right. The things that you should be doing off the field, he's doing well, like constantly being one of the first ones into the building, being there at 5:45, you know what I'm saying, getting film time in, getting bigger. Because you know his frame is on the slim side too. Getting bigger, putting on more weight, being a sponge, being receptive, being coachable, and building good relationships in the locker room. He's showing some good qualities of a leader. And of course, on the football field, he's a Heisman Trophy winner, and we saw what he did at LSU. So I wasn't worried about that aspect. It's usually the mental part that's worrisome. With guys like RG3 fall through the cracks. But look good, look great. One series, pretty much. And then I saw that he got on a rushing touchdown. So I was like, ooh, no, they didn't. So just to show, like, hey, this guy, he could throw. I seen a nice touch bomb that he threw to Dommy Brown, who it looks like he's gonna make the roster. Great throw, great catch. And then capping it off, most importantly, when you get into the red zone, get in the end zone. That's it. You get into the red zone, get in the end zone. And they were able to do that. He got a rushing touchdown. All right, come sit down. We'll figure we saw what we need to see for the day. We cool. Offensive line is still a concern. I don't think neither one of our tackles, neither one of our projected starting tackles played on Saturday. So that was concerning, but they did enough. I feel good moving forward. It seems as though he's as advertised, but still got to wait and see how the season goes and progresses. But he's the QB1. That I think that's what's all but said. And Dan Quinn's going to sit on it for a little bit. He's not going to say nothing right now. He's probably going to do it around the third season, the third preseason game, and announce him as a starter. But he's QB1.
We will keep our eye on what the Commanders do with the season approaching. Real quick scores from week 1 of the preseason. Patriots beat the Panthers 17-13. Drake May look pretty decent. Giants over the Lions 14-3. Dolphins over the Falcons 20-13. Texans over the Steelers 20-12. Eagles beat the Ravens 16-13. Jets over the Commanders 2017. Bears 33-6 over the Bills. Vikings 24-23 over the Raiders. Packers 23-10 over the Browns. Buccaneers 17-14 over the Bengals. Titans 17-13 over the 49ers. Jaguars beat the Chiefs 26-13. Seahawks 16-3 over the Chargers. Saints 16-14 over the Cardinals. Broncos over the Colts 34-30. And Rams over the Cowboys 12-13. Raj, any thoughts from the preseason and your thoughts on the Ravens that you didn't touch on yet?
Not. I mean, a lot of rookie quarterbacks look good. JJ McCarthy, Bo Nix, Jayden Daniels, Caleb Williams. They all look good. I mean, of course, they're playing backups, and most of it is scripted. But it's just a look to see if you're going to be poised, to possibly start week one. And a lot of those quarterbacks passed the eye test, at least for week one. But for the Ravens, Nate, like I said before when we were talking to Kevin, Nate Wiggins stood out. He was fantastic. He was guarding everything, and pretty much shut down whoever he was contested against. So that's a good sign. I still think the brother needs to put on some pounds, though, to round himself out as a player. But from what I see, his coverage skills are going to be fantastic. Backup quarterback, not sure who it's going to be, but it didn't look good week one. Devin Lurie, Josh Johnson might not be the answers for this team, but we shall see going into week two. Also, Trenton Simpson looked pretty good. That's my guy. I think he had like 11 tackles. Made a lot of good efforts to, get the guys down when he had a chance to. Made a lot of plays out there. So very happy to see that. Also, another thing that I didn't like, Harbaugh was in mid-season form at the end, bro. Jake Elliott misses a field goal to win the game, and why do you bring out another quarterback when you could have just left Devin Lurie out there to finish the game? We'll never know, but we see this stuff from Harbaugh from time to time, and coming off of the AFC Championship game where he was just doing absolutely nothing, this time he does absolutely nothing again. So I need him to actually just get out his own way. If he can actually do that, we'll have a chance. But if he continues to get in his own way in different ways, it's just going to be the same thing every time. So that's what I saw. Other than that, it wasn't too much to see. The defense looked pretty good, of course, but nothing to see here.
Dre, any thoughts on the Ravens or anything else in the preseason first week?
First preseason game. I thought that was good for both the Eagles and the Ravens. And I'll chime in about these quarterbacks. I thought all the quarterbacks that were drafted who played looked really good, especially that Caleb Williams, man. I've been on this show talking about Justin Fields and how they should keep Justin Fields, but Caleb Williams, man, it just shows like why he was the number one pick, how he was able to separate himself, and why I think that he's going to be good for the Bears moving forward. You just seen the calmness and the awareness about him going through his progressions, making some crazy like Patrick Mahomes type of passes when he was able to flick it off for a third and long, passing it on the screen. Caleb, I'll admit, he looked good. That boy looked good. He was good out there. So, I gotta give him credit. Jayden Daniels, running. Bo Nix with his being able to go down and score. So, I think that there's a lot of potential for this to be the next great class. We'll see, but this could be the next great class when it comes to the NFL drafts right now. So I'm curious to see that moving forward.
Anything else on week one, Cravante, before we look at these divisions and give our predictions?
The biggest thing is try to limit injuries. That's just everybody get out healthy. We want to see some progression, see some dropbacks, go through your reads, accuracy, and seeing the different positions as as a group, how they're working together. Like Raj said, it's real vanilla. A lot of it may be scripted. Nobody's defense is playing regular coverages. Nobody's showing anything crazy. We just want to see how you play in a maybe not full like this. This is the closest we're gonna get to a regular season game speed. You know what I'm saying? Because you playing, it's all ones out there now with the twos and the threes, and it being preseason, it's not as fast. It's faster than practice, but it's not as fast as the game. So just seeing how everybody fares. I agree with Dre. I like what I saw from Caleb. I think he's another one that's as advertised. Got to see how he can grasp that locker room. I think that'll be important because just like Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams has all the talent in the world, on-field talent. Does he have the mental capacity to be a leader off the field is what's going to be important, because Chicago's never had a elite level quarterback. And who knows, in the next 3-4 years, by the time he would sign another contract, he might have the best stats in Bears history as far as quarterbacks. So I think all the quarterbacks did good. And yeah, let's get out this week injury free and move on to next week.
Well, you guys have been waiting patiently all day. It is time to begin our previews of each division as we head towards the NFL season, less than a month away. It's only right we start in a division with the reigning defending two-time Super Bowl champion, the Tribal Chiefs, Rodgers' favorite boy, Patrick Mahomes, looking to become the first team in NFL history to three-peat. Real quick, the standings last season: Chiefs were 11-6, Las Vegas Raiders 8-9, Denver Broncos 8-9, Los Angeles Chargers with Jim Harbaugh as head coach now 5-12, Bo Nix rookie quarterback, Las Vegas Gardner Minshew, I guess, or Aiden O'Connell. I don't know. I think they're going to be bad. But Raj, how do you see this division playing out with the West?
I mean, come on now. This is
1, 2, 3 Chiefs. We just do that?
I mean, we already know who's going to win the division.
Okay, all right.
I mean, the Chiefs are going to win the division. Now the question really should be, who's going to be the second place team? I think it's going to be the Chargers. I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to plant his foot, or he might plant his foot up somebody's ass, but he's going to plant his flag, and at the Chargers,
He may flag that up somebody's ass too, right?
Yeah, it could go somebody's ass also, but he's gonna make himself known, and the running game is going to be a big thing. It's going to be Ravens West over there, pretty much. The defense is going to get a lot better. I'm pretty sure the quarterback is going to look more consistent with his throws. Now, granted, they don't have as many weapons as they used to in the past, but that's okay. They have Gregory P. Roman over there. He's known for running the football. So that's exactly what they're going to be doing, running the football. And I think they'll probably have maybe an 8-9 record or a 9-8 record, but I think they'll make a lot. They'll be improved. Let's just say that they'll be improved. But other than that, I'm not sure what the Raiders are going to do this year. The Broncos are broncoing, but the Chiefs are going to definitely win this division. I mean, it's just there's just no denying it. Patrick Mahomes is over there. We know what he can do. We've seen it here in Baltimore plenty of times. So there you go.
Dre, from one OTC to another, how you feel about the West?
I'll be honest. I think it's just the Chiefs that make it out. I don't see anybody else. Jim Harbaugh, I know everybody's praising him, but is Justin Herbert going to be healthy for the entire season? They've taken some blows this season, losing some people, just like we've lost some people. You mentioned the Broncos, and you know how I feel about the Broncos, as long as Sean Payton is coaching. And then I think the Raiders are good, but there's still questions about the quarterback position. So I think it's just the Chiefs to win, bottom line. I'm not saying they're going to three-peat, though I'm tempted to say that. But I'm not going to sit up there and then just pick anybody else when I think it's just the Chiefs division to win, and there's too much good football going on in the AFC.
Cravante, every year you've been picking the Chiefs. I'm sure you're not going to waver this year. Okay, we'll put our hands in.
1, 2, 3, Chiefs. Like, what do we? This is not of all the divisions. This is the one where we can talk about the least. I think, and Raj, I'll take it a step further. I think the interesting thing is going to be who's going to finish in the cellar. Is it going to be the Broncos or is it going to be the Raiders? Because they have similar issues. I think the the Raiders issue is probably a little bit more worse. Because they have the quarterback position is lacking, and you have a star receiver that's going to be unhappy probably for the most part for the majority, the bulk of this year.
He's going to get traded.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to ask for a trade probably at some midway through when they're 2-6 or something crazy like that. The Broncos, I just don't think there's good aura around Sean Payton. After his debacle with Russell Wilson, I just think he's doomed to fall on his face. And I think the Chargers are going to get it right at quarterback. I'm sorry, at head coach. Therefore, Justin Herbert could take the next step as a quarterback. His stats will probably take a step back in the box score. So hopefully he can be more efficient because we know Jim Harbaugh runs that football. He's going to run that football. So I don't think Justin Herbert is going to throw for 4,500 or 5,000 yards, but if he can be more efficient, then they can at least maybe tug on the Chiefs' cape a little bit. But Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, it is what it is. I think if a team can three-peat, it will be this team.
And no surgery needed for Marquise Hollywood Brown, so he may be ready for the start of the regular season. They aren't sure yet, but a shoulder injury as well. And don't forget they did draft the fastest player in the draft, Xavier Worthy, out of
Because
Texas.
that's what Patrick Mahomes needed, another speed guy. Remember the last time he had a speed guy?
Yes.
Now he's all
Let's go in the highest.
Now he's the number one player in the league according to his peers.
Yes. I'm gonna start with you, Cravante. I'm gonna swing back. We're gonna go to the NFC West. The runners-up in the Super Bowl, the 49ers. We know Brock Purdy. For now, Brandon Ayuk is there. Debo, CMC just got paid. Trent Williams wants to get paid. The Rams were 10-7. They made the playoffs with Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Matthew Stafford is still there. How long, we don't know. Seattle, Mike McDonald from the Ravens, new head coach, 9-8. And the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray's healthy, Cravante. Marvin Harrison Jr. is there.
We like my guy.
I think they could finish better than Seattle. I'm not buying the Seattle hype, but that's just me. Cravante, how do you feel about this division playing out? Is it still San Francisco and LA as the top two, or one team gets in, or how do you see it playing out?
I think it's San Francisco, LA, top two. In San Francisco, LA, in that order. I think they're playing for Gannon. They're really playing for Coach Gannon down in Arizona because they, as a roster, they really don't look. They don't have it. They're lacking. They're lacking quite a few things in Arizona, but they had their quarterback of the future and they had their number one wide receiver of the future, and hopefully they can stick together for the long haul. Seattle, new coach. Really don't know. Not too sure about the quarterback situation. We don't know. Is Geno Smith going to be the guy? Is he going to take a step back? So it's a little concerning, but I think Arizona can overtake them for third. I think the surprise team is going to be the Rams in the NFL NFC. I think the surprise team is going to be the Rams. Them being able to bounce back. The only issue is Matthew Stafford is up there in age. He's up there. I don't know. Can they keep him healthy, and can he make it through an NFL season? Because they got some pieces over there. They definitely got some pieces, and Sean McVay, being the mastermind that he is, as a head coach and as an offensive guy, they'll figure some things out. And of course, San Francisco, I think, similar to the West, to the AFC side, to the Chiefs division, I think it's the 49ers. And then it's a gap. And then it's the second team. Kyle Shanahan, another mastermind on the offensive side of the ball. They're stacked everywhere. Even if they lose Brandon Ayuk, that's still a very, very stacked team. And they have a quarterback, even though it won't be for long, they still have a quarterback on their rookie contract. Now they're all in until they have to play until they have to pay Brock Purdy at this point. But that team is still very much stacked, and they should win a division going away.
Go ahead, Trey.
I agree with you. I think it's the 49ers to win. I do think that there's a gap, but I think that gap is with the LA Rams. I think the Rams can win some games and be a playoff team, but they're not going to be on the caliber of the 49ers. The 49ers is the cream of the crop in that division. You have Seattle and Arizona. No, there's, as much as Mike McDaniel's over there with Seattle, and it's, going to be, that's a good hire. It's not, like you said, until they pay Brock Purdy, it's still going to be the 49ers team. And then Arizona's just going to be Arizona. They ain't making no splash either. So I think it's just the 49ers and the Rams, with the 49ers being the division winner and the Rams being the wild card.
Go ahead, Big Raj.
All right, man, this is easy. The 49ers are going to win a division. They're the best team in the NFC West. Seattle's pretty good, but I mean, I'm not sure what Mike McDonald's going to do with Geno Smith. I mean, we'll see what happens over there. They have the weapons, but like I said before, I'm not sure with him. The Rams, I'm with y'all on Matthew Stafford. He has been banged up for the last couple seasons. Aaron Donald did retire. This team look like it's going through a transition right now, so I'm not sure how they're going to look either. And also the Cardinals. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're pretty good. They have a pretty good squad, but Kyler Murray, I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, can he come back to form? Sure, but that division, like I said before, is tough, and they don't have as many weapons as they used to have in the past. We used to have J.J. Watt and a couple other guys, but yeah, man. Right now it's the 49ers to lose, but we shall see. I mean, we never know what's going to happen with Brandon Ayuk. So if he stays, they're definitely going to win that division easily. But if he leaves, it might be a little bit of a question. But until then, 49ers.
Let us know. Vote on the poll. Who do you have winning the AFC and NFC West? We both all agree, Chiefs and 49ers. And a lot of love for the Rams as a wild card as well. But we shall see how it plays out next week. We will go down south as we look at the AFC and NFC South as we inch closer towards the start of the 2024 NFL season. Cravante, are you ready to get goofy, my guy?
Let's do it.
It's time for Cravante's Goofies of the week. Let's see if we can get goofy out here.
Of course. Something wrong here.
Well, now that's goofy. Well, now that's jam. Stupid. Just stupid.
Man, oh man. It's been quite a few things, goofy things going on, including the Olympics. But let me not be rude. Let me get into my intro. Welcome, good people, to Goofies of the Week, sponsored by the Flex Zone. Appreciate you guys for giving me a little bit of time to let me tell the good people what I thought was goofy this particular week. It's been quite a few. It's been quite a few things, but I'm just going to keep it. I'm not going to talk politics because I'll leave it alone for a week. We'll talk more politics as the Raj. We'll talk about more politics as it goes on. But I think I just want to talk about, and again, I'm still trying to grasp an understanding of it. And in grasping an understanding of it, I can still point out goofiness where it is. And I know I talk about different levels of goofiness. I kind of just put it all together and try to figure out a way around it. Let's try to maneuver. Let's try to make see if we could talk about how to make these things not as goofy and make it better. And so we pointed out, try to figure out what we could do to make it better. Or we might just laugh at it and keep it going if there's nothing we could do. So there was, for those of y'all that are not aware, the Olympics just ended, and the United States dominated in medals in a sizable gap. I want to say it's about 30 medals or so between the first place United States and the second place person. I want to say the second place person was China, I believe. And it's probably about 30 medals or so in between. And the Olympic gymnastics team, I felt like dominated. They had the goat on her team, but the other young ladies pulled their weight as well. Now, there was an incident. We talked about it earlier. There was an incident between Miss Jordan Childs in the gymnastics event. So apparently she has been stripped of her medal, and she had the bronze medal, which means she was in third place. And word on the street, well, not any word on the street because it's out there right now, it's happening. She was stripped of her first individual Olympic medal after the Romanian gymnastics team challenged her final score. While the U.S. appeal of that ruling was denied Monday evening, the battle for bronze is far from over. Now, in the competition of gymnastics, the scores are typically close. So we're talking about their scores. It's not just whole numbers. We're talking about decimal points, and the decimal points goes a ways. So this, in these type of competitions, it's really, really close because everybody's playing the top of their game, and the points are really, it's really going to be tight. So if you look at the top three, maybe in the top five participants, the scores are going to be close. So Childs had an initial awarded score of 13.666. And it placed her in.
I don't like that 666.
It's not the greatest. It's not the greatest. Maybe this was a score they needed to change, huh? Maybe this was a score they needed to change.
Don't you start, Raj.
But so the stadium erupted after Brazil's Rebecca got gold. The United States gymnastics coach Landy filed an inquiry over Child's difficulty score. And that is a score in the gymnastics, not familiar. Minutes later, Childs noticed the judge's decision, leaping up and down as a stunned Landy grasped at the leadership board. The judge revised her score by 0.1 point. Now, I was saying earlier that these aren't just whole numbers we're dealing with. We're going for the whole number, and then we're going down to the decimal. We're going to the numbers after the decimal point. And it was revised by 0.01. And it gave her a 13.766 score to clinch the bronze medal. Dre, we like this number much better.
Yes.
And the win was historic, making the first time all three positions on the Olympic podium held by Black women. Great, beautiful, ecstatic. We love it. And we're moving on. So Romania ended up challenging this, and it was argued that the gymnastics team, they did not get, they have a minute to, I guess they have a minute to put in an inquiry or make a challenge on the play after the score is given. And they're basically saying it was 4 seconds past the minute. So basically, they missed the deadline of that initial score. And of her score, which meant that the 13-point number that we don't like to hear should have been upheld. And which also meant that she was in 5th place and went to 3rd place off of 0.1. So they're saying she should go back to 5th place and should not be awarded the medal. Now, obviously, this is devastating. Absolutely, absolutely devastating for her. Having a medal and then taking it away. This is giving, Reggie Bush vibes. You know what I'm saying? It's not the Heisman, but having a medal and then taking it away, I think that's nasty work. Absolutely crazy work. The U.S., which is kind of crazy, this next portion of it, the U.S. Says they have timestamp evidence that they basically got their inquiry in time. So basically, what makes this all goofy is that the time it takes for the appeal, I want to say it was 5 days or so in between from when everything happened to when a decision was finally made. So ultimately, they put her back at the 13 point, those numbers, and which meant that she's no longer in 3rd place. I think she's back to 5th place, and she has her medal removed. I think what's goofy is that I feel like there's no way that this should have taken this much time, especially after you already awarded the player, the participant, what have you. And we're not saying now I'm going to the NFL and sports just based in America as a whole. Once the game is over, the game is over. You know what I'm saying? Like the referees, we've seen this a number of times, whether it be the NBA or NFL, where the referees or whoever's in charge of the scoring or of the gameplay of it put out a statement saying basically we messed up, our bad type of thing. But they don't go back and change scores or change stats. It's been a couple instances where they changed like stats, but it's stats that don't directly affect the game. I remember, I don't know if it was last year before last, but Giannis had a triple-double taken away because of how he got his last rebound, but it did not affect the outcome of the game. It just doesn't happen. Like after the game is over, the game is over. When they say final, it's final. Something back in the day, but it's no longer Peat. Oh, yes, Mark. Yes. We did used to call that something. But it's weird that it takes so long. I don't know what it is about, and this is the first time. Well, I'm not gonna say the first time it happened, but this is the first time where I'm noticing it and it's being this big of a controversy. Like we're talking 5 days. It happened already. The Olympics, Paris, or whoever in charge of this, they need to go and hold that L, and it is what it is. Like y'all made the mistake, put that out, whatever statement or whatever you want to put out, saying y'all made the mistake, but nah, ain't no taking medals back and doing all that stuff. Like it's giving Steve Harvey vibes, big Steve Harvey vibes right now from the Miss America thing, so big Steve Harvey vibes, and that's not the vibe you want to give right now. So I think that's very goofy. I don't know what y'all think, but I think that's beyond goofy that it took this long, and then they still not only are they changing, like they're going back and like retroactively doing this, which I think is absolutely crazy. If it's not done before that thing hit final, I think it should be a wrap. Because again, that's not fair. Y'all done had she was up on that podium, she was taking pictures, and they had a very iconic picture, which is really, I guess, not really a thing, not really a thing anymore. But that moment was taken away from her because of a mess up y'all did, and I think that's absolutely not fair and very, very goofy on the Olympic, whoever's on that committee, the appeals court, whatever that thing is called. Those things need to be revamped. If it doesn't happen before that event is over, it should be a wrap. So I think that aspect of it is quite goofy. But they alternate history. I've seen it. Yep. Yeah. Alternate history is crazy. But you know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna jump out there and say the Olympics don't like black people or nothing like that, but kind of crazy that y'all took that moment away from those young ladies and specifically Miss Jordan. But there's a thin, but y'all know my line in this. There's a thin line between goofy and great, and the Olympics is on the wrong end of it. Got to do better. Got to do better. Got to do better.
Of course. Something wrong here.
Well, now that's goofy.
Yeah.
Jam. Oh, stupid. Just stupid.
Thank you for that, Cravante. Those goofies of the week. That is pretty much all we have, Dre. Another episode in the book, episode 454 next week. What can the people look forward to, my brother?
Right now we basically football. We're in the midst of preseason still. Baseball inching closer and closer to the playoffs, and Bash in Berlin is coming up next week. So
No,
still a lot to still
it's
talk.
August 31st.
Oh, well,
All in is next week. All in is next week.
Okay, all in next week.
Yes.
So a lot coming up in the sports world.
Yes. Raj, let the people know what they need to be doing if they're on social media.
Hey, if you're on social media, switch over to YouTube, hit that like, hit the subscribe button on the Flex Zone podcast. This is where you need to be at. Flex Zone podcast, right there. Hit that like, hit that. Don't be goofy. Hit that like and hit the subscribe button, okay?
Yes. Raj, social media producer, appreciate you as always. The Tribal Chief, the OTC, the executive producer, co-patriarch, along with the upcoming birthday boy, Cavante. The people want to know, brother. Your day's approaching. Have you made up your mind of where the goofiness may ensue?
Can't hear you, bro.
You're on mute.
My bad, player. I don't know what I'm doing this particular weekend. Well, at least on my birthday. I got some things going on Sunday. But next weekend, I'm hitting a couple of museums. I'm going to DC and finishing up some things that the pandemic jacked up for me. So I'm hitting a couple of museums. I'm hitting the Black Museum to finish up.
This is your first time going?
No, it's my second time going. I wasn't able to finish because and I don't know if they've added anything or not. I know they talking about adding different wings and stuff like that. So when I went, I was only able to complete 3 floors, and there were 6. At least that I remember.
Did you start from the top up? I mean, from the top down, or did you go from?
So I didn't see the gruesome stuff that's at the bottom.
So
I think I'm probably going to start.
I started at the bottom. You started at the bottom.
So I think I'm gonna start at the bottom for the second half for the bottom 3 and go up.
So did you see a statue of Dr. Umar there?
No.
Or did you see Alan Payne with the fist up in the air?
Yeah, that you see that. Yeah, you
Yeah,
see
Okay.
that.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
But no Dr. Umar though, right?
I have not.
Okay. All right.
I didn't know. I didn't even know Dr. Umar had a statue there. So
He doesn't. I'm just asking.
I was like, no. I was like, that's not true.
I was like, no, I'm not familiar with that. For that brother get a statue, woo! That'd be
Once
crazy. But
again-
yeah, so I'm thinking about doing that. I'm hearing good things about. I'm going to the post office museum, and we'll see what else so DC has to offer, and that is the next weekend. So that'll be fun. Me and my lady going out, spend some time out there, and I get to try to finish up the museum stuff. So that's what I'm doing. Trying to mature a little bit, guys. You know what I'm saying?
Once again, big shout out to Kevin Oestreicher from USA Today, Ravens Fire, and Locked On Ravens Podcast for joining us. Thanks again, Kevin. Appreciate it. We'll definitely have Kevin back to do the damn thing again. Talk some Orioles, talk some Ravens, as well as the season begins, and he has the Ravens in the Super Bowl back in New Orleans against the San Francisco 49ers. Twitter, Instagram, the Flex Zone 1, the Flex Zone Podcast on TikTok, theflexzone1@gmail.com. Of course, the Flex Zone 1 on Facebook. And we are the only place giving you sports how you want it, fellas.
When you
When
need
you
it.
need it.
Hope you ones acknowledge the head of the sports podcast table, the OTC of this podcast game, as we'll be here next week. Another illustrious guest on the way. We'll tell you more details as we get closer to the start of the NFL season. And we'll have a lot more, as mentioned. Got AEW on Wednesday. We got 2 more pay-per-views this month for wrestling, and we'll be heading into football in the Baltimore Ravens post-game show. We'll be back, myself, Raj D, and of course, keeping you up to date each and every Monday on the Flex Zone Podcast, 10 p.m. here on the YouTube as well. For Dre, Cravante, and Raj, we're putting the kids to bed like Steph Curry. God's favorite host signing off, y'all. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good night, everybody. Peace. We'll see you Wednesday for Dynamite.